We answer to them while they answer to no one. To them, that's what the birth of freedom and the American dream means, that they have absolute power over us without having to answer to the king anymore, which of course by their standards makes them free having absolute power of a king without the responsibilities one. Of course, with the way the Constitution and Bill of Rights was written, they have to answer to us, unless we don't know what the questions to ask them is. So when you see the streets of Washington, D.C. run green with free money from Wall Street, know that it's to support the high-stakes deployment of both Democrats and Republicans, along with the news media they already own, to see to it that we don't know the truth about pretty much anything that will sink their ship. Then with us being ignorant of reality, we're inspired to believe we're the most informed citizens on the planet, thus making us believe our free speech works when actually it hasn't been tested yet because we simply don't know the right words to test it out with. Indeed, when I see the kind of backbone the Tea Party movement lends to big bankers, a case can easily be made that our rulers are very effective at doing their job. What it means is that they have fooled the right wing into supporting them with everything but a true conservative capitalist movement. This, however, could be good news for the future of the kind of freedom our forefathers fought for if the Tea Party movement can be persuaded to wake up from daydreaming the future prosperity of this country into a nightmare we may never wake up from again. To help get them there, first we have to look at how we got here, then figure out how to go back and get to where we were before we made the mistakes that handed our country over to the very people we already won a revolution against a few centuries ago. In the sense that the Tea Partiers are trying to instigate a new American revolution, they may be setting the stage for real and positive change. But the end product will not be the American dream if they don't learn how the game is actually played, but more of the same slave trading trappings that working class people have been falling for since the dawn of civilization. When the Revolutionary War ended, Washington returned to his plantation at Mount Vernon here in the 11th District of Virginia on the Potomac River. The 13 colonies started printing paper again, so the economy started to grow. The Americans' victory over King George inspired the nations of the world to hope for a new and powerful kingdom being born out of our shores. So much tribute was paid to the future King of America, George Washington. Washington, however, had no intention of becoming a monarch. He just wanted to work his plantation and retire. But without a king's face to adorn coin, gold, and silver, trade with our other kingdoms would be near impossible. Since America didn't need to trade with anyone, being as our land was so rich in natural resources, there was no immediate pressure to head in that direction. Then there was a question of what to do with the Loyalists who supported British during the Revolution. They owned a lot of property and controlled most key business sectors, while they also had vast stores of wealth made off the backs of the previous subjects of King George who had just become freemen. The question was, were they to lose everything, or would they continue to run the economy only without having to answer to the king anymore? Washington was eventually talked into sitting as the first U.S. president in order that he might preside over answering those difficult questions. We adopted our form of democracy loosely based on the parliamentary system already used in Europe. Only instead of a king born to power at the top, there would be an elected president. After Washington was elected, Alexander Hamilton went to work bending Washington's ear over matters Washington had little experience and understanding. Washington didn't want to break up the decentralized colonialist paper printing system that was providing for a bustling economy at the time. The 13 colonies were printing their own paper as well as were many banks and businesses. There was paper everywhere, which much of was worthless, but there was plenty of product and services available for everyone, so easy accessed American dreams could be built by anyone who wanted to put forth the effort. Eventually, Washington gave in to centralized capital under one standard currency and collecting taxes to service foreign loans to run the government with. Since the end of the Revolution, he had genuine concerns for America's security from the British because we didn't have a navy to protect our shores from invasion, nor a way to build one ourselves. That was the straw that broke his back on supporting our new form of free market economy, the need to go into debt to buy a navy for France. In order to ensure our new debtors we could service the loan so they could feel confident enough to build us a navy, we needed to set up a credible economy that inspired confidence we were up to the task. We also had to show we were serious about being part of the long-established capitalist economy that served the royal families throughout the ages by letting the capitalists who supported the King of England during the Revolution have their businesses and capital lending schemes that they enjoyed before the war back. So rather than Americans being able to print their own money like they had fought the revolution to be able to do, rather than being free of taxes and interest on all monies that moved through this new American market, we fell into the same trap that others like us had for thousands of years before us. Am I saying we should walk away from our capitalist system altogether? I might be, I don't know. When paper was first issued, some colonies did better with it than others. Some issued it in direct proportions to what the local economy needed to keep a free flow of the amount of products and services it could absorb. Others succumbed to greed and arrogance, and that inflated their economies. But lessons learned from successes spread to where failures had taken root, while everyone learned from the mistakes being made. It was a work in progress when it was dismantled. What I'm saying is that this country was founded as an experiment in freedom that never got a chance to take root. But then under the complex economy we suffer at the hands of now, how can we all of a sudden change to this new form of governing when we are so dependent on this capitalist system we're held captive by now? One way is an easy one that many have been discussing since the economy went south but few have listened to. North Dakota has a state-owned bank that supports agriculture and businesses that produce real products and services needed for the state to survive and thrive without access to the outside world, like food, housing, infrastructure, small businesses, student loans, etc. It can do this by using hundreds of billions of dollars in state-owned assets booked as collateral, allowing it to issue low or no interest loans to its citizens and itself for state-run projects. They also book tax revenues through the state bank as a cash reserve. Then, just like any other bank, they can lend 10 times that amount to themselves without charging themselves interest. So rather than taxing their citizens, as all other states do in order to service the interest on past loans so they can keep borrowing more and more money with more and more interest piled on top of it to build highways and schools, which is just an endless cycle of making bankers rich that eventually leads to the state's economies collapsing, like is happening in many states now. North Dakota issues itself no interest loans, so there's no interest on state projects. Right now, North Dakota is enjoying a budget surplus when most of the rest of the world is close to economic ruin from being in debt to the same capitalist banking system. This is because they have a state-run bank whose number one priority is not to make its boards of directors rich or pay huge bonuses to its officers in order to get them to squeeze profits from its citizens any way they can. It's rather run by employees of the state whose job is to ensure North Dakota's economy is strong, and that is all. If our leaders in Washington and our state governments were the slightest bit inclined to get us out from under Wall Street's control, there are many ways to do it. Think of all the money still heading to Wall Street through 401k pension plans, even after Wall Street has lost all interest in lending money to American businesses. Our economy never really had to sink as low as it has, while we still face the fact that it might still get worse. But the banks who have all our money are refusing to lend it back to us again because they don't see themselves making a lot of money by doing it. So why don't our leaders redirect money heading to Wall Street in new directions that will get the economy working again, while leaving big banks to figure out how to dig themselves out of the mess they made for themselves? Why are we waiting for the same people who used us to get rich, then looted our economy and hung us out to dry, to come up with a new plan for how to do it to us again next time? Why are the only shots being heard around the world coming from a Tea Party movement that supports the status quo as being what our founding fathers envisioned, instead of seeing that our founding fathers knew they couldn't finish what they started? So they left the tools we needed to be able to make it happen in the Constitution and Bill of Rights for when we were better prepared to live up to freedom's true potential. Every time capitalist markets get overheated with servicing the interest on debts, just like what preceded the American Revolution, there's an opportunity to rid the human race of our oppressive banker rulers. They know this. They know this is when they are most vulnerable. They know that right now they've let the economy devalue enough so there's ample opportunity to start to take advantage of it again. Just like after colonial scrip use was ended, even though there was ample natural resources and people to make good economic use of them, the economy still failed because there was not enough coin to support the work getting done. This was because bankers saw no point in lending gold or silver into the economy if there was not enough gold or silver on the streets to pay it back with interest. So we have to wait until when our economy sinks so low that our value is so little that we can be bought and sold for easy profits. Then money will again begin to be invested in the system. Those who jump in first will become our new rulers. We will follow as we borrow our way back into a healthy seeming economy. Then the process will happen all over again when there's so much debt on the streets that without there being enough money available to service the economy, taxes, and interest on the loans at the same time. Then we'll find ourselves back here again waiting for the people who did this to us to come up with a new way to do it again. In the meantime, in between downfalls, no one will want to rock the boat because it will appear the economy is sound even though it's getting close to its next crash with every day, which is as a capitalist system is designed to do, to expand and contract so the winners of the rat race can regroup and come up with a plan for how to spend their winnings, which is us. Since we're at a point where our new owners still haven't gotten the economy working again, change is on everyone's mind while the economy is ripe for making revolutionary changes to it. The Tea Party movement, however, is serving those who traditionally distract us through these tough times so we won't see the opportunity to never have to come back here again. A lot of people who've never taken much interest in politics in the past want change. The Tea Party movement seems to be saying what they think they want to hear. They want to return to the old days when the economy was in an upswing, thinking it was something political that led to its ruin rather than understanding that it's simply designed to fail so those at the top can recoup their winnings. Some Tea Partiers even advocate for how this crash is cyclical and part of a normal, healthy economic growth as long as the government doesn't try and rescue it. That it's just part of normal capitalist market growth, which it is. But it's not what our forefathers saw as part of the American dream. In fact, the American dream was born out of their wish to escape this very aspect of the capitalist process. Tea Partiers hate big centralized governments. So did the Founding Fathers. They saw each state being like different test tubes in an experiment and how to manage economies, so they served the people that did the work to produce the economy, not the banker who sat around getting rich printing paper to lend it out with interest due that then had to be followed by periodically collapsing the economy in order to ensure people who sit behind desks maintain control over Americans who do real work. Obama is heading in a lot of the directions needed in order to see to it that we seize this cyclical opportunity that this economic downturn presents. But a lot of signs point to his doing it in order to support an end product that will give more power to Washington rather than freeing the states from Washington and Wall Street. Good and bad news is that the banks are one step ahead of him, with mouthpieces like Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity influencing so many of these new faces to the political spectrum. These new Tea Party members are being fooled into believing that American ideals were born out of our founding fathers' wish to embrace capitalism, when the truth is the exact opposite. The upside of the equation is that the Tea Party movement is strong but hasn't found its foothold yet. So there's still room to hope they will find it by embracing the brave new world our founding fathers dreamed of, so we don't have to come back here again after liberating the American dream from its captors the way the signers of the Declaration and Independence would have wanted us to. Otherwise, we'll continue to twist and turn at the will of our banker rulers like a mouse at the paw of a spoiled house cat until they decide what they want to do with us. Then if we still have a Constitution and Bill of Rights, the next time this opportunity arises, we can try again. I'm surprised that our blinders have been kept on this long. Our rulers must be equally amazed. So they'd likely have plans for our future that don't include us having what we need to win this game next time. So in the spirit of the true American Revolution, it's time to wake up, America. How about, for starters, we name this video the video that was heard around the world?